All right, 6th grade mathematicians, here we are starting chapter 8. We're going to be looking at functions and inequalities, and while you might not know what they are right now, once we get started, it will start ringing a bell, as you've probably heard of functions, and you probably have seen inequalities, you just didn't know that that's what they were called. So I need for you to go ahead and get your book open to page 580. We're going to jump right in on 580. We're going to skip 579 and go right into 580. So let's take a look at this while I get set up here. Remember, you are doing exactly what I'm doing in your book as I'm doing on my screen. So take a look. We're going to just talk really quickly about some of the vocabulary words that you need to know. So a function is a relation that assigns exactly one output value to one input value. So that's what a function is. And then a function rule describes the relationship between each input and output, and we're going to talk all about that. And then a function table is how you organize your input and output values. Okay, that's a function table. It's how you organize. Okay, so let's take a look in here. It says, in a function, the input value is known as the independent variable, since it can be any number you choose. So the input value, the input, is the independent. So I and I, try to remember that, I equals I, okay? The value of the output depends on the input value, so the output value is known as the dependent variable, okay? That's just some quick vocabulary, and as we get started, you'll see what I mean by that. So here it is. Take a look at number 1. This example, it says the output is 7 more than the input. Complete the function table. Again, that's how you organize it for the relationship. We have seen charts and tables like this. You have seen them. It is not anything new. They are just called function tables. We are trying to figure out the rule. Okay? They actually are telling us what the rule is. So here's the input. Notice that the input is labeled with an X. Guess what I'm going to do with this input to figure out my output? I'm going to take 10, because my input is X, plus 7, which would give me 17. Notice my input is now 12, so I'm going to replace my variable with 12, and I'm adding 7. My rule is adding 7, and 12 plus 7 is 19. Then I'm going to take my 14 plus 7, which is 21. Notice it's exactly what they did over here. So basically all we're doing is we are replacing our variable with our input to get our output. So it's whatever we put in to get our output. Take a look at this one. It says the output is 5 times the input. So now we're going to complete the table. So take a look. You notice that it is 5x. Remember, when you have that number and letter together, that equals multiplying. This is just a gentle reminder, okay? You're multiplying. So I'm going to take 5 times whatever my input is. So I'm going to take 5 times 8, which is 40. Then I notice that my input is 10, so I'm going to take 5 times 10, which is 50. And then I notice that I have 5 times 12, and 5 times 12 is 60. Okay, so our rule, again, is to multiply. Our function rule is to multiply by 5. All right, let's take a look at this one. Here's our input, here's our rule. So take a look at what our rule is. Our rule is x minus 4. So we're going to replace our input with 4. Minus 4 is 0. Then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to finish this one. I'm going to replace my x with 7. My rule is minus 4, which gives me 3. Then I have 10 minus 4, which is 7. Pretty easy, right? All right, let's do this next one. Looks like we're timesing by 3, so there's my rule. So 3 times 0 is 0. I have 3 times now 2, because I'm replacing my variable with 2, which is 6. And then I have 3 times 5, which is 15. Okay, so now let's take a look at the next page. It says find the input for a function table. So now what's going to happen is we are just going to be working backwards. Okay, so it's going to give us our output, but we have to work on getting our input. Notice that our input is multiplying by 3. Well, if we have to work backwards, what is the opposite of multiplying by 3? It is dividing by 3. So what if I take 6 and divide it by 3? Then I know that I'm going to get 2. Okay, let's see if that works here. What if I take 15 and divide it by 3 because, again, see that my rule is multiplying by 3, and so I'm working backwards, which means I have to do the opposite. So I would get 5. Here, 21 divided by 3, I get 7. Now let's actually check to see if this works going forward. Okay, so remember, we're multiplying by 3. So what is 2 times 3? Well, it's 6. Check, we did it right. What is 3 times 5? 15. Check, we did it right. What is 3 times 7? 21. Check, we did it right. Okay? All right, let's work on this. Now, take a look. This is awesome because this is a two-stepper. So notice that we have 2x minus 1, and we're working backwards. Okay? So don't let it freak you out that we're minusing 1 here, that we're adding 2 steps. We're still going to do the opposite. So think of the opposite. So if I have, let's go up here. Okay? If I do C, let me do C, and I'm going to write 2x minus 1 equals 1. Notice how I wrote this as an algebraic equation. Okay? Again, remember, whatever I do to one side of my equation, I have to do to the other. So if I want to try to get this x by itself, the first thing I want to do is get rid of this 1. So I'm going to add 1. Well, if I add 1 to that side, I must add 1 to the other side. Okay? And notice I get, this cancels out, I get 2x equals, well, what's 1 plus 1? 2. Okay, so now I have 2x equals 2. Well, if I'm multiplying, the inverse operation of multiplying is dividing, so I'm going to divide each of these by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm left with 1x. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Therefore, we think that the answer is 1. Well, let's check. I'm going to go 2 times 1 minus 1. So 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. Check. Okay? Again, I'm just checking mentally rather than working it out, just to show you for these examples. All right, let's take a look at this next one. So now we're going to do 2x minus 1 equals 3. Again, we want to get the variable by itself, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Okay, this cancels out. I'm left with 2x equals, what's 3 plus 1? 4. Now I have 2x equals 4. I'm multiplying, but in order to get that variable by itself, to isolate that variable, I have to use the inverse operation, which means division. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I'm left with x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we believe that x is 2. Well, let's check it. So 2, replace my x with 2, because that's what we said it was, minus 1. All right, what's 2 times 2? 4. And 4 minus 1 is 3. Check. Okay, let's take a look at this last one right here. So again, I'm going to write my problem. 2x minus 1 equals, what's my output? 5. Okay, so now I know that I'm going to add 1 to both sides. That's going to cancel out. I'm left with 2x equals 5 plus 1 is 6. I'm left with 2x equals 6. I have to divide by 2. I'm left with x equals 3 because that cancels out, and 6 divided by 3, or 6 divided by 2 is 3. So now I'm going to go back. So 2 times my x, which we say is 3, minus 1. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. Check. Okay? All right. Let's take a look at, it would be the same thing if we were to do it here. Let's do one example on this side. Okay? So we're going to do one example on this side, and we're going to try to work backwards. Okay? So we have our output, which means we're going to work backwards. So we're going to write our equation equals 17. Okay? So I'm just going to do this first one. So I'm using my output for my other side. So if I'm adding 2, the opposite of adding 2 is subtracting 2. Positive 2 and a negative 2, that makes 0. 17 minus 2 is 15. Now I'm left with 3x equals 15. I need to get that x by itself, so now we are going to divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1x. 15 divided by 3 is 5, so we believe that the answer is 5. Let's check it. So we're going to do 3 times 5 plus 2. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 2 is 17. Check. You can go ahead and solve these last two should you choose. Just hit pause, solve them. We're going to move on though, okay? Now the next thing you're going to see here is we're going to take a look at some examples of how we can graph some of these. Okay, it says the Gomez family is traveling at a rate of 70 miles per hour. The function rule represents 70 times x, however many miles, right? Make a table to find out how many miles they will travel for 140, 280, 350. Then graph the function. Okay, so what's going to happen is you have your x is your input and your y is your output. Again, when you make a table, okay, when you have a graph, your x you have to run before you can jump up and down, and that is your y. So you're going to notice that they took their 70 times 2, got 140, so that would be our input is 2, so it is 2, 140. Here, my input is, my x is 4, and oh my goodness, it just acted all crazy. I love it when it does that. Okay, bring it back here. There we go. All right, so 4 and 280, and then my x is 5 and 350. So notice we went 2 to 140, so just below that. We went to 4 up to 280 and 5 up to 350. Okay, so notice that that is how it looks when we graph it. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next page. We're going to do this problem together. F. It says, Brianna bikes 12 miles per hour. The function rule represents the situation as 12x. It says where x is the number of hours. Make a table to find out how many hours she has biked when she has gone 12, 36, and 48 miles. Okay, so that's how many miles she's gone. So therefore, we're actually going to be working backwards, okay? Excuse me. So here we go. We're going to solve this. 12x equals 12. We're going to divide each of these by 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1x. 12 divided by 12 is 1. We believe that the input is 1. So 12 times 1 is 12. That works, okay? So my first one, we know, and I'm just going to mark over here, my ordered pair is 1, 12. Okay, let's do the next one. So 12x equals 36 miles, which means we're going to divide each of these by 12. My thing is frozen. There we go. All right, 12x divided by 12 is 1x. 36 divided by 12 is 3. So we think that the answer is 3. 12 times 3 is 36. So our next ordered pair is 3, 36, because remember, look at this is x, this is y. And then our last one, 12x equals 48. We're going to divide each one by 12. I get x equals 4, so I'm going to put 4 there. I'm going to check it. 12 times 4 is 48, so that's going to be 4 and 48. Now we graph it. We just come on over here, and we go 1 to 12. I'm going to go right there. So 1, 12. The next one is 3, 36. So over 3 up to 36. 3, 36. And the last one is 4 over 4 up to 48, which is right about there. And 4, 48 is my ordered pairs. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. If you feel like you have this, that's awesome. That's perfect. If you don't, continue with the next video, should you choose, over these two problems that we are going to do together in the next video, should you need some extra practice. So if you're done, awesome. Go do whatever you have to do next. If you want some extra practice, jump into part 2 video. Okay? Good job, mathematicians.